Welcome. My name is Janine. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. I work at the University of Wyoming and have for a really long time. I also own my own business, Wyoming Workplace Wellness. And what we do is offer yoga, meditation, mindfulness skills and instruction for work teams and student groups and really anybody who's into it. So welcome. I'm really happy to be working with McNair this summer. What a weird time to be hanging out together. I'm just going to put that out there. It's weird right now. So I have found in my own personal experience a ton of benefits from mindfulness, meditation, clearly from yoga. I'm a yoga instructor. I think there's a lot of power in stillness, which sounds weird, but hopefully as we move through our time together the next few weeks, I'll bring you over to my side and you'll be convinced. On Tuesday, for those of you that weren't there, we did just a brief introduction to mindfulness and meditation. Talked a lot about the evidence-based practices, all the data and science that really backs up what a lot of cultures have known for centuries, right? That sitting still and being alone with yourself is powerful, that it's healthy, that it's healing. There's no one right way to meditate. There just isn't. There might be one right way for you, and that's absolutely valid. Some of the things we talked about Tuesday, most traditions or practices would recommend that you find a place that you can be quiet and undisturbed, where you can have a tall, comfortable seat. I am sitting cross-legged on the floor, on a little like pillow thing. That's typically how I meditate. This is actually my little meditation space I have in my home. I just carved out a tiny corner in our guest bedroom. It's fine. No one's going to be there for a while now anyway, right? 2020 COVID. But it doesn't have to be anything fancy like that. It can be a chair, a couch. You can put a pillow on the floor. You're done. That's your meditation space. Some traditions do walking meditations, which is an interesting practice. And if anyone's interested in that, we could totally visit that at some point. It's kind of weird to do walking meditation over Zoom, but we can do weird things. That's great. Moral of the story is a place quiet, undisturbed, where you can find a tall, comfortable seat. And what I mean by tall, comfortable seat is that you can really feel your sits bones rooted down wherever you are, on a chair, on a couch, maybe even sitting up in a bed, sitting on the floor, and then allow your spine to grow long. We don't want to be stiff or rigid, but just extend the spine and the crown of the head up towards the ceiling, or if you're outdoors, which is awesome, the sky. Just allowing you to take the deepest breaths you can. Be as mindful and aware and awake as you can be. And that's it. That's all there is to sitting for meditation. There's no magical yoga pose, or you'll see folks doing different leg positions, maybe different hand positions called mudras. In a yogic or Hindu tradition, those are meant to kind of bring in different energies. If you have some of those in your own personal practice and you love them, do them. If you're curious about them, Google's amazing. Go look for mudra, which is M-U-D-R-A, for, I don't know, anxiety or whatever you're thinking about, and try it and see what you think. But there's no right or wrong way, is the moral of that long story. So before we move into our actual meditation practice today, if I could just get, I think I can see all of you, a show of hands of, has anyone had any experience with yoga, meditation, mindfulness training of any kind? Riley's got her hand up. Awesome. Riley, are you comfortable telling us what that has been? It's okay if you pass.
So I've done yoga before. I actually started at my local gym about last winter. And whenever I have the chance to just go to a yoga class, that's typically what I do. But with COVID-19 and all of that, I haven't really practiced anything or any of that. I'm not as flexible in yoga, but it's a good stretch for me.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, yoga is great. And for a lot of folks, they come to yoga, they come to meditation through yoga. That's super common. Other folks come to mindfulness or meditation through a spirituality, right? A lot of forms of prayer and a lot of different traditions would also be considered mindfulness or meditation. Some folks come to it from like a Western medicine place. A lot of psychologists, counselors, therapists use mindfulness-based stress reduction as a really common practice as they're treating people. And some people just happen upon it because they Googled stress relief one day and there it was. So I'm always just curious to know, but that's great. Thank you for sharing that. Alrighty, so one of the things I wanted to talk about today is just the definition of mindfulness. What do we mean when we say that? Mindfulness is being in the present moment with non-judgmental awareness. So just let you think about that for a second. Being in the present moment with non-judgmental awareness. That's my personal favorite definition. I've also heard definitions that describe it as being in the present moment with non-judgmental and non-analytical awareness. And that's great too. Being with yourself, with things as they are in this moment, not judging them and not trying to intellectualize or analyze. And it sounds really simple, but it's really, really hard. It's really hard. And even people that have been practicing mindfulness meditation for decades, right? Have good days and bad days, days when it works and days when it doesn't. So I have a little exercise that I like to do with this, and I typically will do it with just whatever, but so I have a book here, and this is the back of the book. You can't read what's on it. The book is orange. It has a white dot and then a blue dot and then like these gold bars, right? So if you can, finding that tall, comfortable spine, I'm going to hold this really still. Just see if you can concentrate on this shape, this orange book cover with small writing and gold lines. What I want you to do is notice how long it takes for your brain to start going someplace else. Maybe wondering what's written on the back of the book, maybe thinking about a book you just read. Just notice. For me, it's about 3 seconds before my brain is like, zip, or wondering about something, right? And I've seen that people do this with like a candle, a piece of paper. It's really hard to keep your brain still on one thing and not want to intellectualize it, analyze it somehow, or judge it in some way, especially when it comes to our own internal selves. So just observing the present moment and really experiencing it without judging it as something good that we want more of, without judging it as something bad that we want to get rid of. That's the trick. Just observing and being in the here and now. When we're really accepting the moment as it is, that's mindfulness. That is it. So you can practice mindfulness really with any of your senses at any time. And one of the things I told the group Tuesday was that I recommend, if you're interested in really cultivating a mindfulness meditation practice into your life, starting with maybe 5 minutes a day. Set a timer on your phone or an egg timer or whatever, and just sit still with yourself, noticing the present moment for 5 minutes a day. Some people do it in the morning, some people do it at lunch, some people do it in the evening like we're doing now. I love the evening. I feel like, especially this time when A lot of us are transitioning from the busyness of the day to whatever's happening in our evenings. It can be a great moment to shift the narrative of your day and reset. But 5 minutes, if you get in that habit, you start to build up some cognitive muscles that maybe you don't have right now. We know, science tells us, the more we do something with our brain, the more our brain changes to accommodate for that new skill, right? So that's how you learned how to ride a bike when you were a kid. The first time you got on it, you were like, what is happening? The second time, maybe you were like, okay, I know a tiny bit, but this still sucks. The third time, it's like, I'm nowhere near getting training wheels off. But over time, and suddenly it clicks, and your muscles have that memory, your balance has that memory. Mindfulness meditation is the same thing. Every time you catch your mind wandering to something else and you rein it back into what's happening now, it's like doing a push-up for your brain. And you're building new neural pathways and kind of reframing how your mind works. And it's amazing. If you can't tell, I'm super excited about it. But there's lots of data out there. So any of your senses can be used for mindfulness. Just taking a moment and noticing a sound and really honing in on that sound. A lot of Buddhist monasteries use the sense of sound all the time to remind their practitioners to be mindful. Oftentimes it's a bell. I don't know if anyone's ever seen one of these. This is a little, this is actually Tibetan Buddhist meditation bell. And throughout the day, if you're at a monastery, at a retreat or something, you might just hear. And it's a call for everybody within earshot to bring themselves to the present moment and just listen to the sound. But I do it sometimes with just bird noises that I can hear outside my window. The recycling truck coming by, I'll be like, oh, I'm just going to sit and listen to the sound for a second and imagine like the little dumpster thing and then being put back in the street. You can use anything. Same for smells, hot or cool air on your skin, water on your body in the shower. Any kind of sense experience you have, you can use that as a moment to just bring you into the here and now and really be present. Does anybody have questions about anything that I've been talking about? Does it make sense so far? I'm seeing nods. Good. Okay, that's great. So here we'll go ahead and move into the guided portion of our class. Most classes, what I'll do is a little bit of like skill building type stuff, and you can always feel free to interrupt me, either pop something into the chat or just unmute yourself if you have a question. And then the second half of our time together, we'll typically actually work through a meditation together. And I'm hopeful during the next few weeks, we can move through lots of different meditation techniques. And you can find one or two that you really like, that really resonate with you. For example, some people love to have music while they meditate. Like you can, if you go out to Spotify or something, there's all kinds of like ambient meditation music, sound healing music, whatever it is. Some people, music is so distracting, right? And they must have silence in order to be able to do this. Some people really like to keep awareness on the breath. That's one of the things we'll be doing today. Some people prefer a focal point, like a candle or a sense experience. So we're going to explore lots of different ways of meditating and being mindful. And you can treat it like a buffet table and take what works and leave the rest. Okay. So what we'll do now is I'm going to invite you to find your tall, comfortable seat, making any shifts or adjustments you need to, since we've already been sitting here for about 15 minutes. Getting comfortable. If you feel comfortable closing down the eyes, that's available to you. If you feel that, if that feels weird and you want to turn off your camera to close your eyes, that's totally fine. If you prefer to keep your eyes open, One Buddhist technique is simply softening the gaze and looking like 3 or 4 feet out in front of you on the ground, or maybe at your knees if you're sitting in a chair. So finding something that's going to be workable for a few minutes. And as you get settled, checking in with your breath here. Not trying to change it or do anything different, just noticing where the breath is. Noticing if it's shallow or quick, slow, deep. Sometimes if you watch the breath as it moves in through the nose and through the heart space and maybe down into the belly, you can find little areas where it feels tight or constricted. Just notice where you are and then see if you can smooth out that breath. Maybe imagining the breath like an ocean tide, smoothly washing up onto the shore with the inhale, and then retreating back to sea with the exhale. Smooth and rhythmic and fluid. As you continue breathing, I'm going to read a short reading from a meditation teacher named Jack Kornfield, who is a Buddhist monk. And when I read these readings during our meditations, if they resonate with you, that's awesome. If they don't, feel free to just let them wash away with your breath. Mindfulness is attention. It is a non-judging and respectful awareness. Unfortunately, much of the time we don't attend in this way. Instead, we continually react, judging whether we like, dislike, or can ignore what is happening. We evaluate ourselves and others with a stream of expectations, commentary, and criticism. When people initially come to a meditation class to train in mindfulness, they hope to become calm and peaceful. Usually, they are in for a big shock. The first hour of mindfulness meditation reveals its opposite, bringing an unseen stream of evaluation and judgment into stark relief. As the minutes pass, we may cycle between agitation and boredom. We hear a door slam and wish for quiet. Our knees hurt and we try to avoid the pain. We wish we had a better cushion. We can't feel our breath. We get frustrated. We notice our mind won't stop planning and we feel like a failure. Then we remember someone we're angry at and get upset. And if we notice how many judgments there are, we feel proud of ourselves for noticing. But we can put aside these weapons of judgment. We can become mindful. When we are mindful, it is as if we can bow to our experience without judgment or expectation. Mindfulness, declared the Buddha, is all helpful. So breathing in deeply, letting those words just float around in your mind. Allowing your breath to be in its natural rhythm with no need to control it in any way. just allowing the body to breathe itself. Allowing that natural rhythm of the body to take over. Giving ourselves permission to just be here without having anything to do, without having to go anywhere or achieve anything. And just allowing the body and the mind to rest. Keeping the spine lengthened, but relaxing the shoulders. Relaxing the muscles in the face and the jaw. Relaxing the neck. Noticing if there are any areas of tension or tightness, and seeing if you can soften those areas. As you continue to allow your body to breathe naturally, and from this place of stillness and this place of relaxation, you can bring your awareness into the feeling of the breath in the body. So just notice, where do you feel the breath most? Where can you notice any physical sensations of movement in the body? You might notice the rising and falling of the belly. You might bring your attention to the expansion and contraction of the chest. Or perhaps you just notice the feeling of air as it passes in through the nose. Noticing where you feel the breath most, seeing if you can connect with the raw physical sensations. Noticing the texture of the breath without judging it as good or bad, just observing. You might notice the whole movement of the breath as it comes in through the nostrils, down the throat, and as the belly expands. And then on the out breath, as the belly contracts and the air gets pushed up through the lungs, out the throat, and out the nostrils. Just see if you can follow that movement. You can either pick a single spot and see how the breath changes in that spot over time, or follow it through the different places in the body. Just staying connected to the present moment. Now, to end this meditation, we'll take a deep breath together, filling up the lungs. And then exhaling slowly, releasing all the air. And then in your own time, you can allow your eyes to flutter open. Again, taking in the room around you, just noticing your environment. Maybe checking in with those senses to see if you notice sights, sounds, smells, feel of the air on your cheeks. Maybe feeling what your feet are doing. Are they touching the floor or the earth? Are they bare? Are they inside of socks or shoes? Just noticing what they're touching and feeling. Maybe checking in with your feelings or emotions. Just mentally noting to yourself if you can name one or two that feel most prominent in this moment. Maybe calm. Maybe you're still worried or nervous. Maybe you're annoyed. It's all valid, no judgment, no analysis. This using the breath as an anchor is really a tried and true mindfulness technique. They teach it to kindergartners now, right? Stopping and watching the breath, taking a breath before you say or do something you might regret. All of that is mindfulness teaching. It's just repackaged in different ways. Does anybody have questions or want to share your experience either with this practice or something else you've heard of or done? Any questions about meditation posture or watching the breath? Something I said that struck you as strange or you didn't quite get? Okay. Well, as I mentioned, we'll be doing this Tuesdays at noon, Thursdays at 5:15. Two different Zoom links. One Zoom link for the AM, one for the PM. I guess they're both PM, but you know what I meant. And I'm totally available offline for any questions, thoughts, ideas, things you really want to learn about, things you're questioning. Absolutely. And if Susan didn't share my email, I'm happy to throw that into the chat. You're absolutely welcome to contact me at any time. I'm also open to phone calls. Just email me to set up a time to talk. Happy to do it. I also teach at both yoga studios in Laramie, and a lot of our offerings are still online. So if you're interested in knowing more about any of that, I'm here for that as well. But if all these are free to you, of course, and if you ever want to have a conversation offline, that's of course free too. Happy to do it. So if we don't have anything else, I'll let you go this evening, and I'll hope to see you next week, and we'll keep moving through the exciting world of being mindful. All right. Hey, everybody, take care. Please stay safe. Self-care is really important right now. And if you decide to participate in any protests, marches, keep yourself safe, please. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.